Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast. This community is about providing value first, and rather than having one interaction, one transaction, and one payday from the work you do, we're here to teach you to build so much more.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Bill Gross, and welcome to our Probate Mastery Mastermind or Estate Professionals Mastermind. This is based on Chad Corbett's Probate Mastery program for real estate investors and wholesalers and real estate agents who want to build their business and their equity by building their real estate business using probate and related business. Probate would include, in my mind, estate planning and estate businesses and things like that. We get together every Tuesday at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm Bill Gross. I'm not a coach or an employee of the company. I am a practitioner. I used to come on this call every week because I needed this as part of the tools to build my business. And then I was asked to kind of fill in when Chad had some competing obligations, and I've been able to keep it going. And I was just reflecting before I started taking questions. If you have questions, it's meant to be participative. So if you watch this on replay, put the questions in the chat box. If you're on live, though, come on the Zoom call. We'd love to have you. Either put your question in the chat box on the Zoom or raise your hand. I'll call you live. I'd love to get it and make it interactive. The goal of this is to make it interactive. And let me explain how I kind of came up with that. I was just listening to a story by Florio. What's his name? He's a football analyst. And he was describing before he launched his podcast that he was inspired by Peter Criss of the rock band Kiss. And he said Kiss, when they launched their act in the 70s, they built the act, because he asked him, how you become so successful was inspiration? And he said, we just built the act that we thought we'd pay for, right? And back in the 70s, rock bands, they just came out and played. Maybe Mick Jagger danced around a bit, but there was a guy who bashed his guitar on the stage, but there wasn't fireworks and pyrotechnics and lights and costumes and makeup. But Kiss thought, and again, I'm not saying it's good or bad, just the history of one of the most successful bands in business-wise in history, they like the theatrics, they like the makeup, they like all that. And so they built the business that they liked, and because they liked it, they brought their passion to that. And so I would say the same, that's the opportunity you guys have. Personally, this call for me is something that I need. And please forgive me for indulging me, but I'm a practitioner. I'm in real estate every day. This is all that I do for business. I have some related income and I have some past income, but my daily business is looking for people who need to sell property. I'm a real estate broker. And I focus almost exclusively in probate and related businesses. Probate, estate planning, bankruptcy attorney referrals. And so I built a business that I needed and wanted. And one of the components I needed was this camaraderie. It can be a difficult business, losing deals, working with a customer, finding out they're not going to sell, they're going to keep the house after a year of follow-up. That happens, it's part of the job. But if that happens once in a while, and I believe me, I've been selling a bunch of houses, I'm doing really well. Why do I do well? Because I don't get discouraged. One way I don't get discouraged is I have this community to reach out to and participate with. And by giving back to the community, I get back from you guys tremendously. And so I would just urge you all to take that approach to your business individually. Build the business you want. Don't build the business I built. Don't build the business the vendor who sells you data tells you to build the business that you want. Chad does not sell data. He sells, I think, a dream. He sells a dream of financial independence, and he teaches the tactic of giving in order to get. And really, I was thinking about his kind of the wheel, or I don't know what the term he uses, all the different services that one offers on probate. And in reality, that I've kind of honed in on of those 30 or so services I've identified, 1 or 2 or 3 is where I make a living. And I know other people who focus in on 1 or 2 or 3. Like me, it's the legal services. I'm not an attorney, but I'll find the right attorney. I'll give people good tactical advice. I'll review the documents. I know other people are successful in this business, and they focus on the construction piece because they enjoy that part. Nothing wrong with that. I know another lady who focuses on adult care referrals and has built a business on that. Not to say that none of us would do the other 29 services that are available, but you don't have to do them all. You don't have to take that plan and live on that. You can design the business that you want. So I would urge you to think about that and feel free to ask questions towards that. I've built a fantastic business. I relaunched my career at 60 years old 4 years ago. I make more money in sales than I ever have each of the last 3 years. I have a full pipeline of pendings and listings for next year, going into the year with a lot of momentum. And I'd love to share that message of opportunity and optimism with all of you and encourage you. We should all together work together to lift ourselves to do better. It's amazing to me when I host real estate events, I ask realtors, how are you doing? How many would say, oh, terrible, the market's terrible. And I'm telling you guys, because most of you I've talked to over the years, it's not terrible for me. I took a listing last week. I got a pending in escrow right now. I think I have another listing I'm signing here today or tomorrow. Like,
hey, Thurston.
Like,
How you doing, Chris?
Oh, I'm doing good now. I wasn't doing too good.
Like I got that. I'm doing pretty good business-wise. Like I'm doing better than last year and year before, and last 2 years I did pretty well. Why is that? Because I've been working hard. Now, I don't work more than 40 hours a week. I really can't. I'm older now. I have family commitments and such, but I work effectively about 40 hours a week on building my business every day. And I believe if all of you do that, any of you who do that can do the same thing. It might take 90 days. It might take 6 months to have the business up and running like it did for me. But I assure you, if you put that effort in, that possibility is there for you, especially if you focus on what you can do to help other people. So that's what I want to start with today, just an idea of building the business you want to work in, the business that you think people would pay for, that there's customers for because of your experience. Okay, I'm off my soapbox, and then just if you have any questions, please raise your hand or put in the chat box. And just before, I just want to point out 2 resources that are available for all of us. One is in Facebook, there's Estate Professionals Mastermind Group. There's over 6,000 people in this group, and you can come in here and ask questions people do all the time. These guys, you have, like this, here's one question. I need help on the deal. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of deals Rick Harmon's done, and Daniel Murray's done, and Chad's done. But between the 3 of these, this is kind of like asking a quarterback question in high school and getting, I don't know, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes to answer your question. Like that's what's going on in this group. And so you get some real benefit, some real power here. And then the other option, the other resource that's free for everybody is the Probate Mastery website, where there's the podcast, which this is the podcast, but you can watch it on YouTube or other formats as well. There's a referral directory, there's different products, and then on the podcast, there's all kinds of archives that you can search particular questions and get particular answers on. And I regularly get asked questions from people and refer them to this spot as a place to go to get your questions answered. So those are some great free resources available. Okay, first hand up. Bill, you share the details of your weekly routine. Okay, I'll do that in a second. I see Courtney's hands up, and Courtney is all that in a bag of chips these days. So we better catch him while he still recognizes the little people. So Courtney, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Bill? Thank you so much for your time and all, especially what you said. I really am enjoying creating the content. I'm enjoying trying to find the voice of the audience. I'm assuming that it's folks who are looking for probate questions and probate answers. Part of it also seems to be geared towards practitioners too. So sometimes I feel a little schizophrenic about the content I'm putting out, but I know that will work itself out as I continue to think about the avatar. But I want to share one hack that I had and then ask a question to you all. I think it's a hack. And so I'm really trying to learn the Durham County probate state procedures and looking through the pamphlet. And so all I'm doing now is just taking, it's a PDH, of course it's a hard copy, but I took the PDH and printed it out in a Word document. And then I'm just copying, pasting, and changing. I'm just literally creating videos on each section so that I can learn, okay, what is the responsibility of this or that, or what is the procedure for a qualified person? And then that's like a 4-minute, 5-minute video that I'm assuming and hoping that people who are asking questions are looking up, so that provides good content. And I get to learn, so killing a lot of birds with one stone. Okay,
hold on one second. For everybody watching this, I'm gonna make fun of you a little bit, but this is to your credit. It's PDF.
Oh, what did I say? PDI?
PDH. It's like, for somebody who says you don't know how to do the technology, he doesn't have the right letters, okay? But he did not let that stop him. Nope. He still printed it out, and he's cutting and pasting. That he knows how to do, right? That he figured out. And to go, again, just because I followed your story here a little bit to share with those who maybe are just jumping across it. So Courtney has a YouTube channel, and you're a primarily investor and wholesaler. Is that your primary business? Not a real estate agent, but primarily investor wholesaler, who's creating content to get interest from home sellers in the area. And his magical formula was to go to his local county, which offers free resources. What'd you pay for that again, Courtney?
Was free 99.
Free 99, my favorite price. Print it out, and all he's doing is taking bits and pieces of the free resources and makes a video. Now, look, he's got $1 million smile. He's got a lot of energy. But here's the thing we have to understand. We're going to attract the people we're going to attract. You know, I don't have that look, but people who are going to venture into business with me are going to meet me. So I might as well let them know what I look like. Right? You got to be genuine. You got to be who you are with this. Number one. Number two, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So when you did this the first time, Courtney, was it a little, I don't know, nervous for you?
Oh, absolutely. It still is. But I mean, I got big goals, and I'm not going to let that stop me. You know, mumble, stumble all the way through, but that's part of me. I think that hopefully that appeals to people. They know I'm not, I don't have all the words said properly, but hopefully they see that I'm genuine. At least that's what I try to be. So
let's stop there. Again, there's a lot to pack. So everybody here who's a little scared when it's time to be on video and share yourself with people, raise your hand. Okay. Yet you still can do it, right? You could be scared and still push record, right? One of my favorite coaches in video, I'm trying to blank it. You know, we get older here. YouTube, what's his name? I want to say Cassell. Anyhow, it just says, just push record. Just push record, do it. So I started doing YouTube shorts, 15-second shots, and I was averaging 100 views of 6 seconds, which is like 15 minutes of view time for a 1-minute video. Crazy. So you're scared anyhow, Courtney, but you did it. So let's talk about it. What is happening as a result of you doing the videos?
Well, I feel like my UPS or unique sales proposition is getting stronger because I'm almost repeating it over and over. I'm getting better at researching, like not putting myself in a position, like I'm just a part of someone's journey. So instead of thinking about what I would like to put out and create, I'm thinking more about the client, whether that's the the buyer or the family's helping out with. So I feel like it's making me my value that I know I bring tighter and tighter and stronger and stronger. And it's a lot of fun. It does speak to my personality. So I'm enjoying that. And hopefully I cold call every day. And that was one of my questions going to be about, but hopefully it will pull me away from cold calling because I'll begin to have a lot of referrals that are coming through and as the podcast builds. And I'm meeting a ton of folks, like folks in here. If you all want to be interviewed, I would love to interview you and learn about you all and put it out there and all, because that's how I grow, and that's how, repeating what Bill said, that's how we grow the business. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that this leverages the other things you do. It doesn't necessarily replace them. It leverages your phone calling, it leverages your appointments, it leverages your networking. And when people see your video, you have 384 subscribers. It took me a long time to get to that. So very jealous. You're doing a great job, man. Just really, really, really impressive.
Well, thank you. Keep rocking. Can I ask a quick question though?
Yes.
It's not as well. I cold call every day, and I was listening to many folks, and I heard some folks say they'll call the lead once a month or once a week, but I feel inclined to call every day until I get someone. But I don't leave a message. I just let it ring 3 times and rock and roll. But is there any negative side to calling if I haven't contacted you? Now, if I've contacted you, then I'll put you on a communication cadence based on our conversation. But if I'm trying to reach folks, I haven't reached them, I want to call them every day, but is there something I'm not thinking about that maybe kicks off or puts me on a do not call list? Or
No, but here's the thing you want to think about. When you do marketing, you want to track your results. So I'm not so arrogant as to tell you how life is in Durham, North Carolina. I'm sure it's different than life in LA, right? We're different markets, different cities. And maybe, like I'm in the city of LA, maybe Durham, you're on the outskirts. I don't know. I'm just saying we all have a different reality that we have to be real with our reality. So I would say track your numbers. Here's the key metric: how many contacts you make per hour while you're prospecting. If you're talking about prospecting, not lead follow-up, not setting appointments, not service, I'm talking about lead prospecting time, you got to get to 8 contacts per hour as a minimum. And the problem of calling the same people over and over again is many of those people are never going to answer for whatever reasons they are. And if you, and I used to have guys I was supposed to be coaching at my company. There's one particular, and he hated me because I kept saying the same thing to him over and over again, which is he would call every expired listing forever. And I would say to him, look, once they haven't answered 3 or 4 days in a row, archive it for 90 days, come back. They'll still be there. Apparently he had thousands that were that old. Yeah. And he would be on the phone with a dialer, with a triple or quadruple dialer, dialing all 4 and averaging 4 contacts per hour. And the problem is you're not talking to enough people to make a living. And so track your numbers. I would say, generally speaking, make 3 attempts. And I generally don't leave messages on strangers. And then I would archive that data for 90 days and try again as the general rule. But you need to track your numbers and be scientific about it. And feel free, anybody who's done that, share your numbers. If you have data, Courtney, come back and share the data. I'm glad to hear it. But because I don't want you just to say, oh, that's Bill's rule and it always works. No, it doesn't always work. Different markets are different. Different times of the year are different. But what isn't different is if you track your numbers, you'll know the right answer.
I appreciate that.
Okay?
That's great. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Courtney, man. Thanks for sharing. Come back. Let us know how it worked out. Okay. I have a couple questions in the chat box. When I share my details of my weekly routine. Wow. So my basic routine is I start my day at 8 o'clock, which really means I'm at 7:45 at my desk, clearing out emails and reviewing my calendar, ready to go. And from 8 to 12, my goal is business development. My goal is to talk to people who can either need to sell a house or can refer me people who can sell houses. Now, today, I don't do any cold calling. I do call referrals. I get a lot of people want to call me, so I have appointment slots booked up most work days between 8 and 12. And then I video people. Part of my business development is I'll talk to attorneys and I'll video them and put them on my YouTube channel, or vendors, insurance, termite, inspectors, things like that. So to me, that's part of my business development. So my goal from 8 to 12 is business development. I take a break for an hour. I walk or go swim for an hour and have quick lunch at 1:30, come back, and then and my goal is to have appointments the rest of the day, or I have podcasts a couple of days a week. So ideally, my afternoons are interviews and appointments and video, and the morning is business development. And that just kind of keeps my head in the right game of where I need to be. Where do you go? Sex cheating, anyone misregistration, others, Kat with the link for problems and solutions. Okay, Kat didn't hear that she lost the election. Don't tell her, I know she'd be really disappointed with that. So let's see here. Krista Mashore has a great program doing video. She does. I like Krista Mashore. I was in her group on Facebook this morning responding to something. I think she does a really good job. I was watching her video in the market. I'm trying to think. The person that I think is the top of the game in video coaching is Think Media. And boy, I'm trying to blank on the name of I watch them all the time. There's 3 or 4 different kind of speakers or coaches or trainers in Think Media, but there he is. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but gosh, part of getting old is, there you go, Meet the Team. There you go, Sean Cannell. Sean Cannell is phenomenal, and I've really followed a lot of their fundamentals. Now, keep in mind, a lot of coaching in social media is if you want to be a social media business. I'm not. I'm a real estate broker. I'm trying to develop a real estate business. And so they put a lot of energy into what I would say are the trappings and the look, and whereas I would trade a listing for 500 subscribers. I want the listing because the listing is more business for me in relationships. So you have to kind of take what they tell you and orient it towards your business. What I will say is Sean Cannell has been instrumental in pushing me to be authentic, pushing me to record, pushing me to put out a lot of content. And I think those are the main fundamentals. Joyce, I see your hand up. Love to have you in and share with us what's going on.
I had an interesting experience on my one of my leads from ATL. They called me from my my letter that I sent and asked some questions like, how much do attorneys charge? And they got a bill from their attorney for about 7 times the amount of taxes that they were going to have due that on the property that their mother owned. And so I gave them the state charge for attorneys. And I called my friend at the assessor's office in Orange County, California, and they were just a couple of days short left to go for Proposition 19 because they're going to live in the house. And so I was able to get them their less expensive taxes. So I'm expecting from that a listing.
Nice.
They have a house that they're going to live in, but they have a triple wide big trailer, home, mobile home. I don't know how you do a mobile home. Is there any kind of a resource for where you can find a mobile home information?
You mean in order to sell it, or what do you want to do with it?
Yeah, they're gonna want to sell it as soon as they get it cleaned out.
Is the mobile home attached to the foundation?
Is it attached to what?
The foundation. So mobile homes
Uh-huh.
by themselves are not real property, they're personal property.
Uh-huh.
A mobile home, I'm just summarizing at a high level, and it varies by state, but in general, in California, a mobile home, though attached to a foundation, is real property. Usually you're leasing the space, so sometimes you can buy the space. So you have to find out, where is the mobile home? Is it in a mobile home park? And is it on a rental space? And is it attached? Sometimes they're up on blocks, sometimes they're attached down to the foundation. Once they're attached to the foundation, they're real property and they're eligible for real estate type mortgages. When they're not, it's personal property and worth less than obviously if the lot's included. So you have to find out, when somebody says they have a mobile home, does that include the land or not? And is the property attached to the land or not?
It is in a park. Does that mean it would be personal?
Probably more likely not. Probably more likely it's attached. Usually in parks, generally speaking, in California, you're in Orange County, right?
Orange County, uh-huh.
Yeah. Generally, they're in a park and they're going to be attached, and there's utility hookups, and they pay a monthly fee, and they maybe have a lease or something. That would be real property. So they're listed in the MLS. There are people who list and sell mobile homes. Usually, each park has like one agent who kind of focuses in that park. And if you just search the MLS in that park, you'll find who that is, and maybe refer it to them.
Oh, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sure, my pleasure. Okay, thank you, Joyce, for jumping in. Vince, I don't know if you're on the call, you want to come in and ask some questions on this. So Vince asks, would an intro letter followed by a time date for a phone follow-up be appropriate? So Vince asked a question I get asked a lot, which is, should I mail instead of phone call? Again, every market's different. Where I'm in LA, the average probate petitioner gets like 30 to 40 letters. The average attorney gets 30 to 40 mailers as well. So to me, that's just not effective. But in more rural areas, I imagine you might be the only person. For sure, I would mail if I was in a rural area and there's no other agents working this system. So it depends on where you are. You got to track your numbers. In general, I'm at a stage in my career where I wouldn't mail anything unless I'm going to call them as well. Mailing is very expensive. One mailer in and of itself is not effective generally. You need to have multiple mailers. So when you say that, multiple could be 6 times $1 each is $6 times hundreds of leads a month. Because if you get a 2% response rate, that's fantastic with direct mail. So you're talking about investing thousands of dollars to see if you can get your money back. In general, I think agents and investors turn to mailing too quickly without being on the phone, because I believe the purpose of the mail is to generate a phone call. And if you're not good on the phone at converting leads, then you're going to spend money on mailers. They're going to call you. You're not going to be good at converting them. I do believe if you start on phone calls, you can add mailers and at some point and maybe pull out of the phone calling. But I think you first have to learn the dialogue of what to say and how to say it to be able to convert leads. Otherwise, you're just never going to learn that. And there's no shortcut to that. And I also think sometimes people like mailers because it avoids rejection. I have news for you. When they call you, you're still going to get some rejection. It's going to hurt more because you've mailed so much. You're so excited that 1 or 2 rejections are going to hurt even more. So I don't think mailing will help you avoid what I think you're trying to avoid. I'm kind of mind-reading here because you have a microphone. But I would say in general, when agents ask about mailing, it's to trying to avoid the phone calling. Now, if you're build a good business, whatever that means to you, and you're mailing, and and phone calling, let's say like Courtney said, he's cold calling every day. At some point, if Courtney has money, wants to reinvest and add mailing to that mix, great. Because now he knows how to convert those leads that come in. But if you don't do that, I think you're really just throwing your money away. And I talk to agents every day who mailed out once and quit because it didn't work. Every day. So don't be that agent. Okay? And again, I'm not selling mailing, so I could say that with all sincerity. Christopher asks, have I seen an increase in probate trust leads and deals? Has there been any geographic focus you've seen nationwide California? I'm open to anybody else's input. Personally, seems about the same to me. I've been working hard. I got some good leads. I got some good deals. I got some good escrows, some good listings. I need more. Oh, I always need more. If you know anybody who's looking to sell property in Los Angeles or California, please let me know. I can't say I really measured the distant difference. There's a few less court sales this time of year in court, and the probate leads are about the same monthly. I can tell you the filings in Los Angeles County are about the same on a monthly basis. So I haven't seen any real change one way or the other. What's your process in finding a referral that's not currently in your trusted group? I'm always looking for people who talk to multiple people to where I get them to refer people to me. So I'll give you an example. I have a listing. I have a buyer lead. I don't work with buyers that often. I have investors offered on a property, and we need to do a termite. So we have to order the termite. Now, I know a lot of realtors would avoid that and have their TC or whoever do it, but I don't have a termite vendor. So I made a point of calling the company. They recognized me. I talked to her on the phone. I interviewed her on my video to get her in to promote her a bit and try to pitch her on coming to our virtual sales meeting. So, how do I build relationships? It's one activity at a time. All relationships are one step, one process, one phone call, one email, making the extra step, the extra phone call that other people don't do. So I don't know I have any particular nugget for you, Vince, other than to say that I'm always looking for people who I think can refer me business or can really give my customers better service that in the long run will get me better business. Okay, Steve says, I have exceptional skills. Steve, you left off, I'm handsome and charming. Not surprised you can coach, you also work at it. Well, thanks, Steve. That's very nice of you to say. Thanks very much. Okay. And so Matthew says that mobile homes are sold like an automobile in most states. That's true in California as well. Again, unless the mobile home is attached to the ground, then the transaction is both the personal property of the mobile home, but attached to the ground, the real property. Okay, and how do I differentiate my value add versus other realtors that market my same geographic area to attorneys, mysteries, and fiduciaries? So Chris asked a good question. How do I differentiate myself amongst the hundreds? And it's always interesting to me, and I don't mean to put anybody else down. I'm not judging anybody, but all the time I get, I'll talk to somebody who's an attorney or a friend, and they'll say, oh, do you know Biddy Boop? No, she's a probate expert in your area. And I look up Betty, and her website she's a probate expert, but they look in the MLS and she doesn't do any business. And so I think that too many salespeople focus on the marketing side and not enough on the value proposition side. So when I market myself, I say, I'm not a marketing coach, but if you want to know what I think has worked for me to be effective in marketing, what I've learned in my long career, I would say one thing is that you want to be, that your brand, your value proposition should be unique, that you have to be different. There's 10,000 realtors, 100,000 realtors in my area. We've all been to a networking event where people introduce themselves, and the realtor after realtor will say, I specialize in first-time buyers, investors, homes, condos, second homes, log cabins, bridges, industrial, commercial, and we all kind of glaze over and forget who they are. But whenever I introduce myself, I'm Bill, I'm the LA probate expert. I specialize in probate and legal real estate in Los Angeles. And so I really focus in on that to everybody I talk to. In marketing, I'm only going to do something where I can dominate it or be the only one. So for example, I don't go to LA Bar Association events. I went there to learn originally, but from a marketing point of view, like they have a networking event, I think they had it last week. I didn't go because there'll be 20 realtors there. And I don't want attorneys to look at me as though I'm one of 20. I'm one of one. If there's a smaller bar association, Santa Monica, Century City, Pasadena, where I'm the only realtor or I'm the only affiliate, great, I'm willing to do that. So I think it's important to stand out and differentiate yourself. And I do think that in general, realtors are looked down on by attorneys. So I don't want to look like a realtor. I want to look like a probate expert. And so I'd urge each of you to think about what your area of expertise is, and you want people to look at you as the expert in that. Maybe it's YouTube's. Maybe Courtney goes on to become a YouTube influencer in his market area, and he interviews businesses and gets publicity that way. Great. Then he's not an investor. He's a YouTube builder or whatever, market share person, whatever the words work for you. So I think you have to think about that. So I would say, how do I differentiate myself? Is I'm laser focused on the value I create, and I want to be the only person in that market presenting that way. And I jump into that market to fill it up. I couldn't believe nobody else was doing any podcasts on probate in LA, so I jumped in and took off and built a national platform with it. And I think to this day, I don't think there's anybody who's trying to build a national business based on real estate in probate. And I'm doing that. I have team members, and we're trying to build out in 50 states, and we'll work with vendors to get referrals. That's what I'm doing different. Okay, thank you, Steve. Yes, you're forgiven. If you call me handsome and charming, then you're forgiven for sure. Okay, we talked about that. Randy asked, do I market to pre-probate and probate leads? I both asked. My question is, should my direct mail be different? If so, can you briefly explain how you differentiate them? So, I don't mail out to any petitioners today, whether they're pre-probate or probate. I did pre-COVID. When COVID hit, I stopped everything and kind of redesigned my entire marketing business, moved everything to offline, to what I call online stuff, and like this, and have not gone back to any mailers. Pre-probate, the only ones who I know who do pre-probate and have built a business do several different verticals. And then one thing they do is they also combine the verticals. So if somebody's a distress and a pre-probate and a vacant, that's like 3 points, and they make sure they hit those more than they do the 2.1s or the 1.1. I don't, though, market to pre-probates. I think they're promising and interesting. And then probate leads, I buy data, but I don't mail to them or email to them or cold call them. I more work the referrals and work with attorneys and sources and use the data to look up cases than I do to actually market to them. But if anybody else here on this call mails out, and here's the thing, there are other programs that sell the data and sell the mailing service, and they're going to tell you how good it is. And they're only going to tell you how good it is. They're not going to tell you for anybody who doesn't do it. And then people call and say, well, I didn't convert because I didn't make the phone calls. And I feel like there's almost like the abused wife syndrome. You can always blame somebody for not making enough phone calls because nobody's ever going to make all the phone calls they should make. And I found that with the Mike Ferry system, that it's easy to keep them in coaching. If you can just beat on them and it's their fault, then your coaching is never really held accountable. I don't know if the mailing works or not in all markets. I'm sure it doesn't work in all markets. I don't know if it works in half of the markets. But to tell somebody it will work, I don't think, I'll just say this, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you, test it and see what your results are and track your numbers. But I also will say, if you're not calling first, mailing in the hopes of generating enough business on the phone calls, you're probably not going to get enough phone calls to ever get good at converting the leads to make that pay off. Okay, so that's my soapbox. I'll get off of that. Chad says, hold yourself out as a real estate expert, only introduce the real estate side of the practice if necessary. Okay, I'm not going to say disagree with him, Vince. I would say, when I tell people I'm a probate expert, many don't know I'm a real estate agent. They know that can help solve problems related to probate. So I do think there's some truth to that. If they hear I'm a real estate broker first, they assume certain things. So I don't want that either. So I definitely hold out my area of expertise being probate real estate. And I would say for the rest of you, whatever that is, and it might be that you have all these services to families the way Chad coaches it. It might be pick a subset and really go deep on those, on a couple subsets. Again, I'm in a very large metro area, one of the largest in the country. So I have to specialize more. I suspect in smaller suburban rural areas, you can be more of a full wheel service approach. But I think in LA, that message is going to get drowned out a little bit. Steve says, my approach to pre-probate is different as you're obtaining a referral from a trusted source. So, yeah, I get pre-probate referrals. Basically, I get people who call me before there's a probate and help them get the probate filed. So in that sense, I'm working to pre-probates, but I'm not targeting them. I've often thought maybe I buy the pre-probate data and I run Facebook ads to them, and that they'll come to me that way, perhaps, or just invite them to my podcast or something. I've thought about that, but to be honest, I've just not done that. I've not been that busy where I need to market to pre-probates. Daniel, see your hand up. Let's get you unmuted in here. How can we help you?
A couple things. One, you told somebody last week, they were saying how they got a bad call and the person was swearing at them or whatever. You told them two things. It's either they're acting out of love or they're acting out of a cry for help. And that really helped me this week. I had someone do that. And I was able to just text her and calm her down, and eventually got a thank you and a smiley face back. So
nice.
Not any sale, but just trying to change the energy for that person. So
well, hold on a second.
Nice.
Not a sale yet. I believe you're going to get a sale out of nowhere and not know where it comes from, and that's why.
Nice.
I believe that with all my
that.
heart.
Good deal. Thank you. And then the other one was more of a technical question. I think I'm going to use this to try to talk with an attorney just for the opening conversation, but I still want to ask. I had a guy who his wife passed away. They had 6 properties. I'm a little confused. I don't quite know what to ask him, but he said his trouble is he's trying to get the properties. So they have a trust. The properties are not in the trust. They have the trust first, bought the properties later.
Classic.
But they have a trust account where the money is in the trust account, and
Sure.
he can't spend the money to take care of the properties. So he's trying to close that trust account and get the properties transferred to his name. I think, does that
Classic.
make sense?
Classic
Okay.
case. So first off, your first point, just for those who weren't on last week, what I was describing was a belief I developed as a result of a great book, A Course in Miracles, says that all communication is either a cry for help or an expression of love. And so when you call people on the phone and they're mad, they're mean, they swear at you, just know it might not be you. They're expressing some pain they're in, and you can, as long as you hear that and don't take it personal, act appropriately, but just know it's not you necessarily. That's the first part. The second part, Daniel, you're in the state of Washington, correct? Yeah. So I know California law real well. So what he's describing is people create a trust. Now think of a trust like a vault. So imagine you go down to the, wherever you would buy a vault, the hardware store or the vault store or the gun store. You buy this huge metal vault. It is powerful, strong, can't be burned open, can't be broken open, blah, blah, blah. And you install it in some secret place in your house. And it's bolted to the wall, bolted to the ceiling, hidden behind a fake wall. How effective is the vault if you don't put your stuff in the vault, right? So if you leave your gold and coins and guns and valuables outside the vault and somebody breaks your house, the vault is of no value, right? So that's what happens when people write a trust. The trust is like a legal vault, and don't put the assets in the trust. Very common. A couple common scenarios. They write the trust. As Daniel said, they later buy houses and don't buy them deeded with the trust and don't put them in the trust. That's a common case. Second case that's common is they have a property that's in the trust, and this was more common years ago. Lenders would make them deed it out of the trust to refinance, and they forget to put it back in the trust. And so those are common cases where people have assets that they probably meant to have the trust, but they're not in the legal protection of the trust. What do you do? In California, there was a famous case, Hegstad, Heggstad, I think. It's called a Hegstad petition. You make a petition to the court to say, hey, really, these assets which are not titled in the trust should be in the trust for this reason. Maybe they were in the trust document and never titled into the trust. They didn't change the title on the deeds. Forgot to move them in, or maybe they meant to have everything they ever have in a trust, and this was left out for no apparent other reason than a mistake. And in California, generally that can get moved into the trust and whatever advantages that is for the family. I don't know the state law in Washington, but I would ask an attorney about that process. And again, in California, it's called the Hickstead petition. I'm sure, I would guess, in some states it's no. I know, I think it was North Carolina, the answer is no. If it's not in the trust, it's not. And it kind of figures California would be different. I don't want to get into politics of it, but it doesn't surprise me that's our law or our rules. But in other states, I do know there are some states that will allow you to say, well, should it be in the trust? Was it meant to be in the trust?
So you're saying they can use that type of the petition type thing to get the 6 properties into the trust?
In California. So
Okay,
I think
right,
you
okay,
need
so
to
maybe
ask an
that's
attorney, does that exist in Washington State? And the term you might want to use is there an equivalent of a Hickstead petition in the state of Washington?
Okay. And then what about the funds he has in the bank account, so that at that point then he could use the trust account to manage the properties financially? Is that what you were saying?
Well, yeah, but, so you're saying the bank accounts were titled in the trust, which means the trust assets. The houses
Right.
are not in the trust. So if they can't get them in the trust, they become part of the estate. And sometimes they're owned by 2 different people. The trust might distribute everything to the favored son, and the probate might divide things equally amongst the good son and the bad son, for example. And so if you have money in the trust, you may or may not want to use it to maintain the estate or probate estate properties. There's some strategies there that why you might not want to. So it gets a little complicated. So the first thing to figure out is, can those properties be put in the trust? And if the answer is no, the next question is, well, what's the practical difference? There's certain tax laws, there's certain privacy differences, but also might be that, again, in California, we have a set rules of absent a will, and if he has a trust, there's another question. So there's a trust, usually as part of the estate plan, there's a part of the package where they do a will as well. And so the will say, any assets not titled, I want to go to my good son. So you have to find out in his estate plan, does he, maybe the assets aren't in the trust, but part of his estate plan might include a will, and the will might determine where those properties are effectuated through probate. And the will may or may not be valid. So those are things you should consider.
Okay. Okay, excellent.
Okay?
Thanks for that.
Sure. Chris says, can I share any complex deals you're working on? I have a really good one that it's going to close escrow in another 45 days. I'd love to talk about that one. I mean, look, a classic case for me is I had a case where a probate attorney who I'd worked with and got referrals from referred me a case where her client through probate owned half the property with his stepmother. And they each owned half. The stepson lived out of state. To him, it was just money. His stepmother, she had other assets that she was left, and she was happy keeping the property because emotion made her feel good. But in California, if there's 2 parties who equally own the property 50-50, if either one wants to sell, then they can force the sale. And she resisted that. So went to a different attorney for what's called a petition action. So I have a probate client referral, goes petition. Now there's 2 attorneys, one representing him, one representing the stepmother. And the challenge is the attorney who represented the guy who's referred to me, of course he likes me. He's referred by the attorney that works with me. And there's generally a presumption the other attorney is not going to. So the challenge is, how do you work your way toward the other side? They're already competing with each other. They're in a lawsuit with each other. How do you get the other attorney to at least allow you to be the agent of record to sell the property? Because only one agent can sell the property. It's easy for them both to say, we both like our agent, let's pick a third. I don't want that to happen. So I had to really reach out and work that client and work that agent and share my expertise as a probate realtor to get them to agree to let me list the property. So I would say that's something that, again, it's not automatic, and no amount of mailers and phone calls guarantees that. That's the benefit of being an expert. That's the benefit of learning the language, learning how to approach attorneys in a way that'll be effective with them. So maybe that's a story I can share. Enough about me, I think. I mentioned a small, simple strategy from a deserving probate realtor who was able to obtain additional, oh yeah. Who's that? Christopher asked that question. So last week I mentioned a small, simple strategy I learned from watching in court another agent. So there was a case where I was there and there was another agent, and I think either it was a different case or it was the same one and her client won and mine lost. But at the end of the case, this was a court confirmation case where there was a buyer and seller, and then the estate brings the case to court to confirm the sale. And in California, you can overbid the sale if you are willing to pay more by 5% plus $500 and show up with a 10% cashier's check made out to the estate and are willing to waive all contingencies. Well, that's pretty bold. It works on fix and flip houses to some degree. So on a $500,000 house, they're bringing the sale to the court to confirm. You'd be willing to pay $525,500 and have a check for $52,500 made out to the estate, not to cash, not to escrow, to the estate, and be willing to buy the property as it is with no contingencies. So at the end of the sale, I watched this other agent, and what happens is the listing agents all try to play games. They all, in my way, for the most part, they're more focused on their commission than they are their client. They spend more energy in the MLS protecting their commission than they do the client. And one of them will put some verbiage in that says that the commission is split 50-50 no matter who wins. But the probate court in California says that the listing agent gets paid commission up to the price that they bring to court to confirm, and all of the commission over that on the overbid goes to the buyer's agent. It says it in black and white. So what's happened is you have a listing agent who's trying to say, no, I'm entitled to split that 50-50, but technically that contract is overruled because even though we're members of the MLS says that their rules are superseded by California state law. And so it's really a battle, and some of these agents will make an issue with the judge, will argue the point. That's why when I go to court, if you look in the back corner, there's a blue book. I bring it with me as the California Probate Code. I have dog-eared to the page that has the commission, and I present that to the judge. And I say, based on Probate Code 10170.3, I'm entitled to the full 5%. And the judges will look it up, and there are judges who've, I've done it multiple times, go, yes, Mr. Gross is right, and he's entitled to the full 5%. So the 5% on the overbid, 5% on $50,000 could be $2,500. I get all of that instead of half of that. So I've had cases where I've made, just watching that gal, and then afterwards I walked up to her and asked her, great gal from Keller Williams in Long Beach. I'm trying to blank on her name. I forget names, but great gal, very nice. I've done it 3 or 4 times. I've probably made $12,000 just because I learned from her how to get the extra commission that the probate code, allows me to have. So there you go. So it's worth going and paying attention. Hope that answers your question, Chris. If the props were in the trust prior, probably a lot easier to get back in. So Terry says, going back to the case we talked about, if the properties are in or out of the trust. And again, I would say in California, if they're in the trust, deeded out, a lot easier to get back in. But in some states, unless you deed it back in, that state doesn't care. I think North Carolina is one of those that doesn't matter. So it depends on your state law. Most things will vary by state law. Does anybody successfully invite personal representatives to Zoom calls for questions similar to Bill's doing with a different group? That's a good question. Who has a call to personal reps for questions? Now, I will say I've done that with estate planning clients, but I've never particularly marketed to personal reps. I love the idea, personally. There used to be in LA, pre-COVID, the LA Law Library, which is across the street from the courthouse, would have monthly a session for free for personal representatives that was led by an attorney, and I would go to that. That was fantastic. Chris asked, do LA rules mandate the agent commission of 5% be split 50-50, or could a probate listing agent market at 4%? Yes, the listing agent can market it at 4-1. Now, everything is up to the judge. So if you felt that was unfair, you could point that out to the judge and say that commission is unfair, and the judge can definitely make whatever changes the judge wants to make. But generally speaking, when they offer 5%, The listing agents can offer 3-2, 4-1, however they want to do it. I've seen 0 commission. Now, here's what they don't know, is when you offer 0 commission, all of the overbid definitely goes to the buyer's side. And then the court will require you to get your share what you would have got otherwise in California probate code. Would the commission come up if full authority to the person representative? No, these are only limited authority cases with court confirmation we're talking about. On a full authority, unless somebody objects. Now, that's the other thing people don't realize. Full authority is not you can do whatever you want to do. It's kind of like you can do whatever you want to do as long as nobody objects. But if there's other errors and they object, if they don't sign the notice of proposed action and they object to what's going on, they say, hey, you're not serving the estate properly, you should be offering a more competitive commission rate, then now you have a legal case and they both can fight over that and get whatever they want. Terry, you're welcome. And if you ever use that trick, please let me know and I'll introduce you to the gal who did that. You can thank her as well too. I think I sent her a Starbucks card as a thank you one time. Okay, I think we're coming up on the hour. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted, this is Deborah, and I just put something in the chat very quickly. I'm working on a course for PAs, and I'm trying to figure out how to attract them and what my material. So I'm very early on in this this idea, but I think that would be good for them, but I don't know how to get them, I guess. So I would probably have to go through an attorney. Of course, they would be there to help, give their information.
You're working a course for probate? What's a PA? Probate attorney?
PA, a personal representative. The
PR.
Executor.
PRs.
Yeah. What did I say? PA? All right,
Yeah.
PR.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think training them would be great. I think it'd be a great resource for them. I know attorneys have done that in the past. I think you also could be partnered with an attorney to do that and get their business as well as part of that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
And Christopher says, what percentage of new filings in LA are per probate filings? Christopher, I have a spreadsheet, I could run it, but I would say from memory, about 10-15% are per. Now it's a little deceiving because sometimes they're filed in the name of an attorney, but the attorney's not really handling the case. Sometimes there's a paralegal who's doing it. It's really per, but they're filing the paperwork on a limited representation basis. But I would say about 10-15% don't have an attorney to file probate cases. But I actually, in actual data, I could, if it, those are the kinds of things, that's why I get the data. So that when I want to ask that question, I can look at it and I update from time to time that information monthly. How many are filed? In LA County, there's about 400 to 500 probates filed monthly for probate cases. But not all cases go through, a lot of them drop out. So it's some of these numbers, if you want to be technical, but there's about 400 and 500 new case numbers issued in the probate court in LA County monthly. Okay, I think we're gonna wrap up. That's 12:58, so I think it's a good part to end. So real quick, let's just go back. Free resources to help you build your business. ProbateMastery.com, best place to go. You'll see on here, there's a referral directory. There's the podcast, which is what you're on right now. There's the YouTube channel, all kinds of questions with clips. And that's a good-looking guy. Who is that guy? What a nice picture. And you can sign up there to get email reminders. You can see all the different formats that is offered. So definitely go to Probate Mastery and sign up there. Also on Facebook, you can go to the Estate Professionals Mastermind. And then also, if you're a graduate of the Probate Mastery program, there is an alumni group, Probate Mastery Alumni, that has 1,600 members there. A little higher level questions and answer. You have to be an alumni of the program to participate. But if you are, make sure you get in there and participate. As far as my programs, I'm Bill Gross. I host Probate Weekly. I host Probate Weekly on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Sign up at probateweekly.com or see the past episodes at probateweekly.com. Love to have you join us there as well. Usually there I'm interviewing attorneys or vendors, whereas I try to make this call more about answering questions and more content based. So thanks for everybody on the call. Have a great week. For those of you like me who are Jewish, happy Hanukkah. For those of you who are Christian or celebrate, have a Merry Christmas. For the rest of you, enjoy your time off or whatever it is you do. Have a great holiday. Thank you all for participation, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.